I know talking about pieces of ice is fun, but I decided to finally embrace my inner special snowflake and make a video discussing a broad topic. And while this video isn't me speaking about slabs of ice, we can instead talk about my slabs of disappointment. Given this video isn't 10 hours long, I could confidently say that I fooled you. Influence is something that surrounds you everywhere and anytime. From the people who help you get up in the morning to the people who give you ketamine, murder weapons, Pokemon cards, and a funny little character that sticks to you at all times named STD. I know influence might have a sour taste in your mouth due to how many people use the word to fuel their ego. And while Timothy with 30 subscribers might feel like Jesus Christ to the 4 people who actually watch his content, he's still an influencer to an extent. And because Timothy has 30 subscribers, he's also technically just as much as a YouTuber than PewDiePie is. But behind the smoke and mirrors, we both know that Timothy rules an empire of dirt. Influencer, a person or thing that influences another. Yes, folks, this might be crazy to hear, but you don't have to be a celebrity, a superstar, or a famous model to unlock the great key of influence. Because we all have influence. Yes, even you sitting on your ass eating Doritos watching time fly. Even you have influence. And maybe high cholesterol. You might want to check that out. Influence has been depicted as this pretentious, egotistical presence that nobody wants to touch with a 10-foot pole, when in reality, everybody's affected by it. Of course, the reason for these assumptions is due to the people who abuse it, but we'll get into that later. The power to change or affect someone or something. The power to cause changes without directly forcing them to happen. A person or thing that affects someone or something in an important way. Influence. This is the definition of influence, but I'm not your goddamn English teacher. I'm just a bird with a massive influence and fan base. Point proven. Influence can be the voice of reason and the voice of chaos. A true yin and yang. Influence has led to civil rights and equality, and it's also led to lynching, murder, and genocide. So yes, influence is definitely larger than the 13-year-old Brittany who likes to dance on her TikTok account. Influence is a power that generally could be wielded by anyone. And like they say, every action has a reaction and every cause has an effect. And while I understand that KKK was built on hateful influence, I'm just a YouTuber who spews his 2 cents on the internet. So I'm going to calm down with the big historical examples. I assume you already understand the point. As a 2002 kid, I could definitely say my life has been dictated by a lot of influence. I know some of you still might be that 15-year-old behind the monitor who goes, the only influence I have is myself, I'm not inspired by anyone. And I hate to break it to you, but you're full of shit. You don't necessarily have to watch a Darman video to unlock the third eye of what it takes to be a good person. But influence can be just as simple as watching a YouTuber you like and wanting to edit like them. Or hearing someone say something that relates, motivates, or even inspires you. Usually everybody's first influence is their parent figures. Unless you're like me and were raised by a pack of ferrets on the Colombian border. If you have a parent figure with a good hard work ethic, that can motivate you to be the same way. And if you have a parent figure who's an addict or general bad person, that could also influence you to have the same traits, or even possibly motivate you to be better than that person. In the world of technology and entertainment, influence is more important than it ever was. That is, unless you think churning butter the wrong way should be enough to end your career. Like I said, a lot of people don't like to talk about influence because it could definitely rub off as egotistical and pretentious. But the only way for me to have this discussion is by tearing down that blanket of insecurity. I'm an influence. I make videos on a public platform to at least 500 people no matter the subject, topic, or trend. And at least one of those 500 people have been inspired by my branding, writing style, editing, or general attitude. If you feel annoyed or disgusted by me saying this, you're either brainwashed or ignorant. Humans are insanely impressionable. So impressionable to the point that we get influenced by literally anything. And that also includes fiction and fantasy. Movies, games, music, any other forms of media are some of the most greatest influences to the world. They're also very good for people to compare themselves to. And comparison is necessary for ambition. If you watch Kobe Bryant play basketball as a kid and hear him talk about his hustle and competitiveness and decide you want to go to the NBA when you're older, you've been influenced by an idol. I know it's not healthy to constantly compare yourself to others, but if you think it's not healthy to make comparisons at all, that's just ridiculous. To give you some background about myself, I'm someone who's influenced by a lot of my entertainment and art. A lot of things I compare myself to are complete fiction. For example, I compared myself to Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. I even made a whole video about it. He's a fake CGI raccoon, but the creator and writer behind him is James Gunn, who is a heavy influence for my future screenwriting. The story being fiction or non-fiction is irrelevant. Spider-Man is the most mainstream fiction character for a reason. A struggling person that no matter what will do the right thing, that definitely influences people. And since kids are young and impressionable, they idolize his character and will even try to mimic him. I definitely idolize people. And to say that certain people don't deserve to be idolized comes off more egotistical than humble. The main pillars of influence are relatability, inspiration, and accomplishment. It's funny how much people are afraid to label themselves as a fan of certain things, as if they merge stan culture and fan culture in the same bracket and make up fake notions that somehow being a fan of somebody is a sign of weakness. There's nothing wrong with being a fan of someone, like at all. If you think there is, you're just stupid. One of my biggest influences of all time is Kid Cudi, who's a musician and I'm definitely a fan of him. Alright, let's keep it transparent. I'm a huge fan of him. But as a fan, I have my reasons for loving Kid Cudi. He's a huge influence on me because of his art and how it speaks to me. He's a vulnerable storyteller, and I compare myself to him in aspects of accomplishments and attitude. Cudi's personality and art influences me. Also, saying that I make YouTube videos, I should also mention probably some of the YouTubers who I get influenced by. When I was a kid, I watched Zaptai until he left the internet. And in comparison to Leafy, Zaptai wasn't this big all-star channel, but that didn't matter. Regardless of his size, he influenced me. His writing style, personality, and gimmick made him stand out. And even today, he's still a huge influence to my content. Also, Shammy is one of the main reasons why I write the way I do. And I strive to make his type of content one day. I'm influenced by a lot of people, and it's even crazy to think that I personally could probably do the same to others one day. And that brings up the negatives of influence. Influence is terrifying to me because influence in the hands of certain people could be equivalent to a monkey wielding a machine gun. Since I don't send my genitals to children, I have no problem discussing these fears because I don't have any skeletons hiding in the closet. But influence goes both ways, and abusing it can hurt the people being influenced just as much as it could hurt you. I said I'm influenced by Kid Cudi, and if tomorrow Kid Cudi was to be exposed for sexually assaulting a minor, I would be devastated. As a fan, viewer, or average admirer, you hold your idols to a pedestal, and to see them not be the people you thought they were hurts. And as an influencer, you could also take advantage or hurt other people. Watching Zaptai get ripped to shreds as a kid hurt, and then realizing today as an adult it was due to a misuse of influence hurts even more. We now live in a digital age where discussing pedophilia and grooming is the equivalent to another day on Wall Street. It's even insane that I have to state that talking about somebody grooming a minor isn't the same as talking about someone who puts Gorilla Glue in their hair. Word to mouth is one of the largest forms of indirect weaponization when it comes to influence. Facts and logic don't matter when it comes to basic influence. If you have 1 million subscribers and take the newest information and roll with it, your word is fact to the core impressionable audience. The pyrocynical situation, for example. Most channels covering this topic race to the finish line with base information for a quick dollar, and then end up having to apologize. And while it is up to the audience to look more into a topic themselves, most people watching will just believe whatever is said because they like the person saying it. If I get accused of pedophilia and a big channel covers it in a video and ends up in favor against me, then to their audience I'm a bad person. And if more evidence comes up later to disprove it, it still doesn't disappear. Some of those people will now have a sour taste in their mouth. This could also work in the opposite direction, where some might get defended when wrong due to how much influence they have. And I hate to bring it up, but John Swan, for example. John lied about his situation and most didn't make the assumption due to his reputation and respect. And with his influence, he had other people with influence defend him, painting Dream as someone who's misusing his influence. Jeez, that was a lot of influences. If John Swan was innocent, then Dream would have been misusing his influence to discredit someone who was innocent. But that wasn't the case. Instead, John Swan used his influence to manipulate people to cover up some trolling. This isn't a video about John Swan, I'm using this as an example to how much power influence can be. Of course, there's far worse examples of this, such as influencers sexing fans due to their size and influence. And in some cases, these people are minors. It's surprising how many influencers use their influence to share nasty discourse. It's not a surprise that skepticism is on the rise, due to how many of these cases have been also rising as of lately. So to conclude this video, I'll end this with a pretentious quote. With great power comes great— Shut the fuck up. Influence is a great motivator and can push, inspire, and motivate people in both good and bad ways. And if you have the privilege of having an above average influence, use it responsibly, because it can be taken away just as easy as it's given. Alright, guess the video's over. I should let you know, by the way, I made a second channel and I'm trying to get that to 1,000 subscribers. So sub to it, please. Also, I'm trying to get this channel to 20,000 subs, so yeah, a sub would also be appreciated. Also, thank you to the channel members. I have more ambitious projects coming up soon, and you guys helped to make that possible. So I really, truly appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter to stay active, join the Discord. I'm Dr. Skipper, and just don't text minors. Jesus Christ.
I chain smoke till I choke, have a